Afternoon. We'll give people a few minutes to roll in. Make sure my YouTube is working. Okay, good. All right. Got 10 of you in here. Afternoon down on the East Coast. Afternoon, everybody. Or wherever you is. Happy day. Hope you're having a good day. Good day. Oh, dear's here. We've got Sandy. Welcome, oh dear. Alex McLean. Now we've got 4. What happened there? Now we got 6. We had 10 a moment ago. How's everybody doing? I promised this video, and I had recorded it, and in typical Seamus fashion, wouldn't you know? I read it, and I thought, everything was set up right. But, of course, it's me. So that was a waste of 3 hours. Not really, because I familiarized myself with it even more, which is good. And there was some things in there that I've subsequently come to learn more of. So that's good. I also wanted to make a quick correction on the mass casualty site. There's a few things I suppose I could talk about that. But the mass casualty site in the Highway 4 Glenholm document, which I can grab here for you all. There is stills, interestingly enough, of the security footage at the Pugsley welcome tin. Yes, I noticed that a couple of new subscribers, so thank you very much to those of you who have joined us. Really appreciate it. And anybody who finds any of this helpful or is or supporting it, please do those things that everybody else stumps about. You know what that is. I suppose those of you who are subscribed, please make sure that you're still subscribed, because I get quite a few emails about people who are having issues. So, yeah. So there are stills, in fact, in that document showing the supposed arrival and departure with the timestamp in it. Now, interesting, when I read through that and a few other documents, I have more questions. So I'm going to follow up on those at a later point in time. They didn't answer me on things I was looking at. So welcome, Tin TV. Let's get our, we like to say hello to all of our family. Welcome to all of the people of Sharon. Howdy, Sharon. We've got Linda, Mark Evans. We've got Sharon's making Tin feel welcome. Thank you. We're a team here, most of us. So very glad to be part of a team, and glad to have Tin on board as all other new subscribers. Linda, I don't know, she's talking about something on Netflix, filling people's heads full of stuff. we've got NX44 in here. Couldn't chat, had to reload the video. Uh-oh. Not good. So I saw a couple comments too disappear off my channel. Hopefully those aren't being deleted. If so, please repost. Hopefully it's just somebody deleting their own comment. Really makes me upset. Truth Behold is in here. We've got just my computer or is video freezing up? You must have a monster computer. Hopefully nobody else is having issues. Had to reload also, says Alex. We've got Sad Mafia. Still haven't watched that video. I'm sorry. I'm trying. Nikki Lewis. Memento. Had to reload video also. One of yours went missing. Yes, the missing videos is fun. Good. Go, download them, repost them, put them elsewhere. You can do that here too. There's no copyright balls over here. Video froze up. Probably just the weather. You guys having some bad weather? Freezing up, says Linda. Me too on iPad, says Sunday. Sandy. Oh, if this is the way I'm going to read, then we're going to have problems. Caper, incredibly glitchy. Oh, wow, everybody's having problems. Still on 145p and can't even see. Wow, that not good. Linda says it's happening out here in Alberta. Salty air. Having problems. Are we all cleaned up now? Truth Behold says good. What are you eating? What is that? Oh, dropped a piece of ice. You can get that in your mouth, eh? Solar storms causing issues. Quality sucks. Can hear you. Like watching a dirty screen. Well, that's okay. It's just me anyway. Jojo says, okay, she's all good. All right. Well, if everybody's audio is okay, seems to be improving, says Space Explorer. Are other people experiencing problems on YouTube elsewhere? I don't know if anybody's been surfing around doing stuff today. Not sure. Okay, so I do know about how long this is because, well, I made a video of it the other day. So it's about 2 hours, 45 minutes, give or take. Might be a little bit more. So just so you're forewarned. But it is a very, very enlightening statement, and I do hope that you find things in it. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. It is 45 pages long, but I will read portions of it. And if you see anything in there or have read it, let me share it with you just so that we're all on the same page. I should have put it in the notes. Of course, but this is me. I don't do things quite like others, as you have all, I'm sure, gathered. Now, let me find the link. Go up there. We also have had some removals of some key information. There we go. Much better now. Yes. And it is an interesting read, too. Ooh. There's all kinds of good stuff coming from all kinds of places. Was able to share some things with a couple of family members today. think they've got a lot of questions now. Hopefully they'll just get the answers to it and there'll be nothing to see here, but maybe not. But we'll get to some of those on a later day. Maybe today, if I'm up for doing something else. Right. So this is the recorded transcript or a transcript of the recorded interview brought to you by Trent Software, don't you know? Because everything's AI. Of Dion Sutton, Police Dog Services, Thursday, December 16th, 2021. As you can see here, it is, as always, done with MP3. Done with MP3. So you're going to have, as I say, there is audio, video. In this case, I don't think that maybe there is officer notes. It's maybe the primary investigator for the MCC. These are cops, by and large, out of Toronto and Ontario. So I think that they would have their own notes, but definitely on anything that is any of the other interviews, any of the interviews that the RCMP has done, there will be officer notes on those. So audio, video, the transcript brought to you by Trent Software, and officer notes. These things all should be available. All four for every single interview, every single witness, every single officer, anybody who had anything to do with anything that night, day. Those it should be automatically available, as should all of video, everything else. Video, not stills and balls. Anyways, I don't want to keep going over the same stuff, but people need to say, where's the money? Show me the money. All right. Now, Dion Sutton is with the RCMP 20-year member, I believe. Hopefully, I'm not going to get any of this wrong. I don't want to ever say incorrect things or cast doubt or point fingers at people needlessly. And I'm definitely in this case, Dion Sutton seems to share a lot. He, to the best of my knowledge, is currently on leave. I don't know, and this is just throwing it out there. He could be running down his time. That's possible. He would be very burned out after the work that he did, most certainly. And just to give you also a bit of a background on dog handlers. Dog handlers within the RCMP are kind of a really special thing. They aren't attached to a particular detachment or anything like that. He'll get into some of that. So they don't have these kind of, maybe office place, workplace drama. I mean, I'm not saying that there is or isn't, but he wouldn't be subjected to quite the same amount of thing. He's very much an independent operator. He does his own thing. He is responsible primarily to himself. There's a different food chain that he operates within. So, and he'll get into some of that too. So it provides you a totally different insight into things that are going on. All right, Sutton, very interesting. Hello, Nosy Scotian. Yes, Sutton, very interesting. So, again, I will just read his own words, let them speak for themselves. I'll interject a couple of things, but mostly just let him speak for himself. So, 16th of December, 2021, the interview is conducted. So he joined RCMP in 2001 from Depot in Regina. He went to Grand Falls, Windsor, and Newfoundland. He's served some time out in BC and the island. E Division. Now, when you see E Division, don't, I know I've made videos about that in the past. It doesn't necessarily mean people that come out of E Division are sketchy folk, all of them. Definitely not. Definitely not. It's just E Division is the base of operations, shall we say. That's where their biggest stuff was. Be interesting to see what happens with Surrey now. Alberta, when I was driving around, has a I think I shared that before, but when I was coming down from Edmonton one day, there was a billboard on the side of the highway, and it was, I don't think maybe it was the NPF, which is the union basically for the RCMP, I think it was them that had a billboard basically stumping to save the RCMP in Alberta. I mean, the RCMP is in a bad way. And, well, are they responsible for that? Probably. Came to Bible Hill, and that was 2019 back to Sutton. So Bible Hill is, I believe, his kind of office, if you want to say it that way. But he operates out of his vehicle mostly. So it was called the Northwest Nova Police Service. We covered the northeast area of Nova Scotia. So usually my area would entail from Enfield to Cape Breton to Amherst. So again, this is a significant area. I believe there's 4 dog handlers, or were at this time 4 dog handlers in Nova Scotia at the time. So they kind of split it up into quadrants, and those of you who live in Nova Scotia know this is a really big area. He operates around it. So we'd have 1 dog in the north, 1 dog in the south, which would cover New Minas, Yarmouth, that area. And I was the current dog handler until April this year. So I think he's still out on leave. Again, that's totally just a thought, but he may be running down his time. I'm not sure. But as of December, he was on leave. So Vancouver, Victoria, and it's just an interesting insight into dog handling and this kind of thing too, if you want to have a read. And probably you'll spot other things in here that I have missed. So please let me know in the comments, or if I'm incorrect about something. But I don't think I'm going to put too much opinion in here. Yeah, okay, so would you train regularly with the ERT team out of there? Yeah, there was a mandate, especially when it came to high-risk bush tracking, building clearing, tactical vehicle takedowns. So even like in the beginning, the dogs weren't used to a whole lot. The guys came in, we tried to settle the program a little bit more and show them how valuable we were. And eventually, more and more, we were being used for containment purposes, actually, in the stack when it came to clearing buildings and that kind of thing. So it was mandated that we have training with those guys to keep our skills up. So it works a lot with ERT, right? These guys get really close with their dogs. It's a totally different level. In Newfoundland, he's talking about his kind of how it works. In Newfoundland, there would be an inspector who would oversee the sergeants, because he's talking about how the food chain kind of works over there, and with the dog handlers. And the same in the support services, they would also look after ERT, underwater recovery, TAC team as well. It was more informal. We had a lot of leeway to basically decide if we were going to deploy or not, and in further action needed. Again, speaking more to this kind of independence. So at the scene, you sort of have an autonomy. You're going to operate, but like whose structure do you follow here? We do, unless it was critical incident, we would become part of the critical incident package and follow a structure of command from the top down at that point. So he's right. He's not operating underneath. I think critical incident package. I think that goes under crops, so that's leather. I think. Could be wrong. He's either under leather or Campbell, but I think it's leather. Somebody knows, and I'm incorrect. Please correct me. So usually in the beginning, if we show up, a lot of times we were basically the most senior and knowledgeable person when it comes to containing or what to do. A lot of times we'll have members that are fairly inexperienced when it comes to that. So a lot of times when we show up at a scene, we're the ones that actually give direction as to where containment needs to be, where we should be situated, that kind of thing. At that point, it's up to the risk managers who are in the dispatch. If it's serious enough, they interact with the ERT team leader and the incident commander to see if it's worth a critical deployment. Once that happens, basically, we are just containing until the full package arrives, and then we fall in with the ERT team, and then we just follow whatever command is given to the team at that point. Right. So yeah, in the beginning, we're almost autonomous. But if it turns out into something different, we follow under a higher structure, okay? So it's a different food chain that he's operating underneath. Right, again, okay. And within that, I guess you would fall under the team leader of the ERT team's direction, and then, yeah, usually have one of the team leaders would be in the command center along with the incident commander and scribes and whoever else they have there. And then, yeah, the conversations between those guys and the team leader who's with us. But it's their direction. But a lot of times, we would discuss, like, is this worth something? Is this worth something that a dog could do? Or do you think that the dog could be deployed there? And we would still have some say in that as well. Christopher Ludlow. Okay. It's okay. Moving, I'd like to move into the events of the 18th and 19th April. If you can give us a rundown how you became aware of the events up in Portapique. And okay, so usually after a regular shift, most often our dog unit will do a shift from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. After that, you'll have one dog who's on call in the north of the island. Okay, he's going back to BC, kind of. And you'll have one a dog on call in the south. So any calls that come in, we'll have a cell phone. I believe he's... Why is he saying island? Strange. We have a cell phone. Any of the calls that come in, we have a cell phone. And usually the dispatcher or risk manager would call us and say, hey, we have a call here. Is this something that the dog could be available or of use to? And we'll make the decision at that point if we're going to go. It's usually Saturday or Sunday. We're not working, but we're still on call 24 hours a day at this point, which is they work a lot. So at this time, I was at home, I was on call, and it was, we were sitting down, and me and my wife, we were going to watch a movie, just had some snacks going, and the phone rang, and it was one of the dispatchers. And I know the dispatcher because they live in the same neighborhood as us. So we're kind of on a first name basis. And she's like, "Hey, how are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm good." She goes, "We have a report of there's a police vehicle." I'm going to pause here for a moment. Take note of, and I'm not insinuating anything here, it's just to take note of how Dion Sutton refers to the mock vehicle throughout this whole statement that I've read anyway. There's a police vehicle parked in a driveway down in Portapique, and we're not sure. We think a couple of people have been shot. We don't know many more details other than that. We just want you to get rolling and we'll go from there. So I said, okay. I got off the phone and I even said to my wife, I said, I'm not sure, somebody's been shot. There's a police car there. So it's either a member involved shooting or a domestic suicide, murder suicide. Okay. Just take note of that. I said, I'll be back in about an hour. And I left my personal phone at home. Okay. So he's talking about a company phone. I said, save some snacks for me. I'll be back. And I got suited up, put on my equipment. At this time, I still wasn't fully aware of what was happening. So with us, we dress in, we have green fatigues, pants, and a shirt. I put on my soft body armor, my gun belt, put my dog in the truck. It's an unmarked Suburban. I have a silver Suburban. So I get in, I log on to my computer, GPS, right? Another GPS point number 2 so far. We have a computer inside the truck, and I just let dispatch know I was on the way. While I was on the way, there were reports coming in that it sounded like there was multiple people shot, and there was a number of structures that were on fire. So at that point, I kind of figured, this seems more than just your regular run-of-the-mill call or shooting call. So I phoned the dog handler who was on call in the south, and I said, "Jeff, sounds like we've got to have an active shooter. I know. If you can, I'd like you to keep rolling my way just in case this turns out into a long event. Then we need some relief." He said, "Okay, we're going to get rolling." And we started. I was driving. There was a lot of radio transmissions going out, and with it sounded like loud bangs. Radio with loud bangs in the background. He's hearing them. Or they think there were shots fired, and again, multiple people deceased, and it sounded like chaos. The details were still coming in, but the same time, I was trying to talk to Jeff and relay what was happening. When I got down past Great Village, you could see the sky was it was red, like it was glowing. It was almost like a forest fire, really. So by that time, I'm like, okay, this sounds like a little bit more high risk. So I pulled over. I jumped out. I put on my hard body armor, my ballistic helmet. I had my night vision. He has night vision. I had my night vision attached to the helmet, loaded up my carbine, had it in the passenger seat, put on the vest on my dog. And yeah, I got in and I turned off the emergency lights because at this point I'm starting to go into what I would call the hot zone. So I don't want to go with lights and siren and just give away where I am. So I just started to drive. I was driving fairly quickly at this point, but I didn't have the lights and sirens on, and I could see, like, you could see the smoke, and just it was just a glow, a red glow everywhere. And I know, the light's always been kind of a bit of a question. So I pulled into, I think it's Portapic Beach Road, and there was one police. I think there was a police vehicle there, and there was two female members outside. So this is going to be Colford and Jameson, I believe. Basically, was almost like a checkpoint. One vehicle, two members. So this is off the main road. It's like a dirt road, and the main road, the paved road, continues. I could see that there was a couple of members down further on the paved road as well. So we've got another checkpoint, and this is the one off to the east, almost like doing a checkpoint as well. So I notified the dispatchers that I was on scene, and at that time we were told that there was nobody to enter the hot zone. Well, again, this is an opinion. This is opinion, but I think only certain people were permitted down there on purpose to enter the hot zone. Basically, from what I could tell, there was multiple members inside, and they were in a residence with some children. And said basically just contain the area. Ert's on the way. So you can, again, and if you use the, sorry, I don't want to keep interjecting, but where is that? One moment. Balls. You can use his GPS points. I'll grab them for you. His is denoted by K. K refers to dog handling. So 59K, I believe, is his, because it seems to match up. And so there it is there. Okay. And this will actually play some relevance in some other things here. So I saw two members. Ert's on the way. So when I got out, I saw two members. I believe they had hard body armor, but I didn't see any carbine or anything like that. No, I don't think they were carbine trained, right? So to me, I was like, this is a high-risk situation now for all intents purposes. There was at least one shooter still mobile in the immediate area. There was at least one shooter mobile in the immediate area. So activated my night vision. And basically I took cover in it's a wooded area, so just off the road a bit. And basically I was just scanning the area. I had my carbine, left the dog in the truck at this point because there's no need to have him out. And basically I was providing cover for the two general duty members who were on the checkpoint. Sorry, where did I go here? Because to me, it was almost like they were, I don't know, they were sitting ducks. Like if you were out there in the open, there was no tactical cover really. So I stayed and made sure I had cover and concealment, but at the same time still scanning the area with my night vision or with night vision just to see if I could see anything through the trees. Every once in a while, I would change positions and sometimes would walk out to the middle of the main road to see if there was anybody walking on the road, and then just take up another position because I at the time I really just wasn't sure, or really wasn't sure where this guy was at the time. So, yeah, I continued to do that until the ERT team arrived on scene. Once the ERT team arrived on scene, I handed my carbine to one of the members. With the ERT team, there's a group that are into almost like an apprentice, which I was with the dogs. They're called strikers. So they're not really fully trained members, but they train with them in the hopes of becoming an member. They don't usually deploy like in a stack or in the tab of becoming, but if they need equipment and things like that, they're ready. They get it ready for them. So I remember I gave one of the strikers my carbine. I knew, well, we'd be getting into the armored vehicle with the dog, so I can only handle that as opposed to the. So yeah, we got into the armored vehicle and we're going down to, I think it was Bayshore Road, I believe. So the objective, so now on the other side, so the objective that we were going down to Bayshore Road, where allegedly one of the first deceased person was. So maybe he's got the road modeled, but possibly. Where allegedly the first deceased person was. We were going to get out, deploy the dog, cast him to see if we could get a human scent, to see if there was any tracks leading away from that area. We were driving down, and you're in the armored vehicle, like it's fairly not a lot to see. Like we were basically bunched in there, but you could tell, you could smell the fire. Everything was just glowy. It was like just, you're like, you didn't know where you were going because it was just like everything was in flames and eerie. We got out and we had our night vision on. I had the two members were with me and the rest followed out. And then the rest followed out. We deployed the dog. I cast him around basically the immediate area as tactfully as we could, in hopes that the dog would get a scent. At this time, you could still hear pops. I wasn't really sure if it was gunfire or what it was, but we were thinking it was because it just sounded like that in the area. In the distance, when we jumped out of the TAV, there was a deceased person almost directly in front of us. And of course, the dog kept wanting to go over. I think we walked over to him like a couple of times, trying to cast again, opposite side of the road. We tried to again. But there was so much stimulus of what was happening with noises, the body, and the dog couldn't pick up on the type of human scent to track at this point. So jump in. Sorry to jump in. This body, was it on the road or inaudible? And these statements, what's going on with the statements? give the recording, frankly, and you don't have to worry about it, because there has been changes in some ways, absolutely. And is things being left out of the statement with all these ellipses? I don't know. Dot, dot, dot. It was on, it was, yeah, it was on, it was almost on the side of the road. It like almost, yeah, pretty much, yeah, it wasn't off the road. I can't remember if it was I don't even think it was a ditch. It was like off a little bit to the side. Yeah. So at this point, we advised the commander that there was no track. So we got back into the TAV, or the armored vehicle. Then we were clearing another road, and I think Risk at this time, the members in the house, they were going to, so I mean, Risk, I feel like things are missing. I don't know about you guys, but these statements, I think that there are things missing. But just an opinion. The members in the house, they were going to get the kids out, and then we were going to extract the members and put those guys into the armored vehicle. And roughly around the same time, we got there was a call from a male who said that he was in the woods, and the shooter, he thought the shooter was close to him. So there was a little bit of panic. I don't know what details were given, but we were just trying to find this guy, and we were going up and down a bunch of roads, couldn't basically pinpoint. And I know the guy in the woods couldn't really hear us. Okay, so this is the hearing aid stuff. Clinton has a hearing issue. So the guy couldn't really hear us, or he was just in such a state of panic on the phone. Okay, possible, then it's not hearing, but I think there's a hearing thing possibly going down too. And at the same time, we thought, well, this could be our shooter, and he's trying to ambush us. So we were like, we're not going to deploy into the woods. He's going to come out. Once he can hear the vehicle walk towards us, we'll get on the loudspeaker. Eventually, we found him, and yeah, gave him commands over the speaker and the phone to come out. I believe he was prone and handcuffed, and we put him in the armored V. Once he was searched, we put him into the armored vehicle with us. He was in shock, very erratic. Where he came out was pretty close to where the body was that we first searched, And he was coming into the armored vehicle, and he was all over the place. He was like, is that my brother? That's my brother. Is that my brother? He's shot, I think. Is that him? He said. Where did he go? Like, who shot my brother? And it was still just a bit weird. We still weren't sure if this guy was the shooter or not. He was just acting erratically, and I think it was just because he was in so much shock that he sat down on one of the seats, and roughly around the same time, two members came out of the residence, and we placed those guys in the armored vehicle as well. So, what in talking to those guys, I think the guys in the woods said that they could see a flashlight, and the members thought that they could see a light in the woods. What it turns out to be is that this guy was on the phone. The members could see the glow of the phone, thought that it was the shooter. The guys on the phone saw the flashlight, thought that it was the shooter when it was actually the members and the guy. So we brought out those guys to the main checkpoint. Seems like something's a little off there with that, but they turned the handcuffed guy over to the members, and the general duty members we got out of the house were, yeah, I think they were just relieved or brought back to the command center. I think once that was done, I think the instructions at that time was, I think at this point, they had the name of the suspect, and we were just going to go down to the residence of the suspect and deploy the dog again around the property to see if we could get a human scent to track down. Once we drove down again, we were just driving down, and all of a sudden there was just more fire, more glowing. You could smell a lot of smoke. When we pulled into the driveway, basically the suspect's residence was basically burned to the foundation. There was still flames and smoldering, but it was leveled basically. When we looking out, we could almost see, like, to me, it's almost like the top of a head in the fire. And so we were kind of thinking, like, is that somebody? Like, it looks like somebody in the fire. And so we were thinking, well, he probably shot himself and set fire to his house, set the house on fire, and still thinking that that's probably him. We were still looking and realized that it wasn't the top of a head. So we just basically relayed back to the command center that there is no house for the suspect. Like, everything is leveled. So, it was pointless. I couldn't deploy the dog around the house. It was just, the fire was too hot. The dog could get out. There's just nothing there for the dog to really get at the time. So we let the command center know, and at this point we were going to return back to the main checkpoint and then wait for further instructions. By this time, the second dog handler showed up, and I said to Jeff, like, my dog's basically fried. Like, we've been going at it for, it seemed like a couple of hours, but it was actually almost 4 to 5 hours. And you can use these things as time frames, right? And I said, he's so stimulated, he's not concentrating on putting his nose down. There's just too much going on. There's bodies, there's fires, there's loud bangs. Like, he's just, he can't perform right now. He's just done. So he needs some downtime. So we switched out. So Jeff got into the armored vehicle with the ERT team, and they went on, I believe, to continue more searches. There was coming in from the command center. A couple of observations. I would say there are, one, Clinton is put in cuffs, right? So this seems kind of normal in a way, right? I know it seems in hindsight terrible, but if you don't understand who's doing what, put him in handcuffs. What about Lisa? Why doesn't she go into handcuffs? Being that she's missing with the person who supposedly doing all of these acts. No, don't pass go. And what was the other observation there? The house is completely and utterly leveled. This is a log home. Very hard to do that. I'm not even familiar with it, but possibly. Dion Sutton. So he continues on. I'm not sure if there's stuff missing, or it seems strange that they would put a new paragraph in and stick his time in there. Times are important, these timestamps and things. I put my dog in the Suburban and I drove back to the command center. When I got back to the command center, it was the fire hall in Great Village. And so the lower floor, there's a couple of fire trucks in there. There's some food and water. Upstairs is the main command center. I used the bathroom, went up to the command center, just walked in, and I recognized one or two people from work and just said hi. But it's not, you kind of get that look like you're not supposed to be here anyway. So I kind of got the hint and basically went back out and sat in my truck. So while I was doing the searches, I know Jeff was in the process of trying to gather more dogs to relieve us. Not very welcome, not very wanted, I'm picking up. Is that Jeff Wall? Jeff Wall, yeah. Okay. So I believe he contacted New Brunswick J Division, and I know J Division ERT team were en route, and they were going to send 2 dogs down with them. So by the time I got to the command center, the J Division guys were just arriving. And you can place a lot of things using the GPS and what he's telling you. And the events, right? Getting there, and the kids, people are in with the kids, and one of the dog handlers was there. His name is Phil Perceau, and we were talking, and just as to what was happening and what info I had. I think at the time, Craig Hughley, another dog handler, showed up on the scene. I was talking to Glenn Brown. He wasn't on call at the time, but I managed to get a hold of him, and he was making his way as well. There was only one other guy in Antigonish that we couldn't get a hold of. And usually when you're off, there's really no expectation to answer your phone. Like, he's not on call, but yeah, so we didn't get a hold of him. But yeah, so just basically, so we just basically stayed at the command center, or outside the command center, I should say, in our vehicles, just trying to figure out where we go from here. I spoke to 2 members from my detachment in Bible Hill, GIS members, General Investigative, and it was only at that time that I was aware that the suspect had a police car that was marked. I didn't know that in the beginning. Like, the initial call was that there was a police car in the driveway, but there was never any further details. Like, I didn't know if the suspect was driving that. No idea. So I found out, he was driving a marked police vehicle, and the member actually had a picture of it. So I remember, this is going to be, I think, Dorrington. So I remember asking him to send me a picture, and then I texted it to Jeff, one of my buddies that was at the command center. So, which I'm assuming he probably already knew. And then we waited. And I remember we sat there, and this was about 5:30, almost 6 in the morning. And yeah, I remember saying to Phil, the other dog handler, I said, if this comes through today and goes back and it gets dark again in the evening, we're screwed. Like he's got a police vehicle. We're sitting ducks. We don't know who's who. So he could easily drive with the lights on and stop and like shoot. We have no idea. I said, we got to, hopefully he's dead or we'll find him today. And yeah, we were just basically just talking about that and just trying to lay back, get some rest. And then I heard dispatch come on and advise that there was an individual shot. I think it was on the highway, around Wentworth. There was a person appeared to be shot, and there was a member on scene, and he was getting into his police car. And I think basically 2 and 2 came together, and then we realized that this is the guy. So me and Phil are looking at each other, and we're like, well, where do we go from here? Like, do we leave or do we wait to see what's going to happen? And all of a sudden we hear the roar, and there's like 2 ERT vehicles leave. A armored vehicle is going, and we see Jeff. And I said to Phil, I said that, screw that. We're going. Let's go. I said, we're not waiting for to be. I don't even know if they knew that we were outside. So we just followed in. I followed in behind Jeff, and Phil followed in behind me in his truck, and we just followed, trying to get to where we needed to go. And at that time, we were just following the next vehicle in front of us. While we were en route, we heard that some member said he was on the opposite side of the highway driving, and the police car was driving the opposite way, and the guy in the car basically waved at him. Remember the order of things here. Remember the order of things here. Yeah, and so we tried to get to that location. While en route to that location, another call of a shooting comes in. We head towards that call. Within minutes, a report of a third shooting, and it's almost like you just can't catch up. So we're just in scramble mode in that time. We're like, you get to one scene and there's a second scene. You get to one and there's another shooting. It's almost like you're always minutes behind and you just can't get there. So we were just flying to get to the next scene, and you fly by, you can see these people on the ground, and members are trying to tend to them. This was out in Debert at this time. I remember Jeff and Phil, we were pulled into a pit, and we were like, well, like, where do we go? Like, what do we do? Like, it seems like we're just going in circles here. So basically, we came to the consensus that safety in numbers were sticking together, like really smart here, especially where Phil's coming out of the area as well. At least he's going to get a sense of where he's going if he's to follow us. So we just got to stay moving and try to get to where we need to go. By this time, a call came in that I think it was back down in Wentworth that the suspect was at his residence outside in his police car. Order of things in his police car, and that guy was inside, and his wife had a gun, and he said if members don't show up, he's he's going to shoot him. Buddy is trying to get into the house, but it wasn't like he was forcefully trying to get in, like he just stood up and knocked casually. The guy, there was a bit of a panic in his voice, apparently. We just got there as fast as we can to that property. By this time, the armored vehicle and ERT team were there. And I know Craig Hubley, the other dog handler, he just jumped in the armored vehicle with the team, and me and Phil and Jeff, basically, we were at the bottom of the driveway. And we're just taking cover and just waiting to see what's going to happen. We're kind of expecting to see a police car come out the side, or he's going to be running, and one of us is going to have to make contact. We can get up, we can hear instructions given over the loudspeaker, we can hear the armored vehicle, and they clear the area, but the suspect is gone. He's gone. You see the order? There's something not... Again, maybe there's some reasonable explanation for some of this, but it's not really adding up. And in reference to Lillian's stuff there, I'm going to do a video about that because there's a lot there. There always was. So we're behind and just trying to figure out where to go from here. We get reports that now the suspect is driving towards Truro. So we get in our vehicles again. By this time, we're like, you know what? This is a wild goose chase. We're not going Mach 10. Mach 10. Lights and siren. Let's just stay mobile. Continue on towards the area. But not go code 3, basically, with lights and siren crazy. He's certainly sounds like, anyways. He's pretty upset. Getting sent every which way from Sunday. Nobody's using him. He's got all these skills. This guy has a lot of skills, by the way. You have him sitting at the end of a road? Really? With night vision? With night vision. We didn't have any night vision. We couldn't see anything. Dirty looks. While we were doing that, I remember I phoned home to my wife. Our cul-de-sac, there's about 5 members that live there. And at any given time, you'll have a police car showing up home for lunch, or somebody's got a car home to go to work the next day. People taking their cars home. So I told her, car's going home. I said, tell your friends the suspect is driving a police vehicle. There should be no police vehicles in our neighborhood right now, because everybody is out at the scene. I said, lock the doors. Go downstairs and do not come up until I tell you, I said. But there's no police vehicle that should be in this neighborhood right now. So I said that, and we just continued to drive towards Truro. Then we had some info that the suspect was driving through Brookfield. This is the Darrington gobbledygook, I think. The friend. Or is it the silver SUV, which is also in Brookfield, only 2 minutes separation? Come on, figure it out when it can't be in Brookfield. Get out of here. Always a problem in that Twitter line. Always been a problem. Big problem. Go downstairs. Sorry. So we just at the time we were coming off the highway, so we got on the number 2 highway, just driving on the Trans-Canada, quicker to get to Brookfield as opposed to going through town. By this time, we were still just driving, not going crazy, no lights and siren, no, just because the three of us in tandem. And I told the boys, I said, once we continue to get out further past Brookfield, we're going to need to switch radio repeaters, I said. So you'll need to switch to the East Hants repeater. We were on the Colchester repeater the whole time, which that was the area. So I didn't know if Phil could switch over to the radios where he was a New Brunswick truck. So I had my main radio, my truck radio on the Colchester repeater. I had my portable on the East Hants repeater, so I could get both as to what was going on. And I'll relay back to Jeff and Phil. Eventually, they were going to patch these 2 radio systems, but this was before the patch was made. So I just wanted, this is before the patch was made. Moncton recommendations, and you told the newspapers you did it. Oops. So I wanted to be a little bit more, to get a good idea of what was going on or where he was. So while we were driving on the highway, then we heard that shots were fired, a member's been shot. So then I relayed back to the boys and we picked it up a notch. Then our lights came on, sirens, and we just started to move towards Brookfield, out past there, and then coming in that, another member's been shot, and she's 10-7, which is deceased, out of service. So I relayed back to Phil and Jeff, and they said, just to confirm, there's 1 member deceased, and I'm like, yeah. Another new paragraph. So no question. Excuse me. So we go. Yeah, it's like the truck just can't go fast enough. I remember that pedal was, if I could put it through the floor, we would. Like it's just like we weren't moving, even though I know like it was. We were going fast. We passed, there was an unmarked police truck, headlights on. Okay, so he's very observant of headlights. Like it was only going, it was just going so slow. I remember being so mad, even when I passed, that I blew the horn. And I know I gave him the finger. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are you driving so slow? So we're still going. I mean, they say that that there's members on the scene with the deceased member, and that's being taken care of. But there was info at that time that there was this suspect had also shot another person and has taken a vehicle. They knew about Gina, and they knew about the car. So at this point now, we're on the lookout. How would you know that? How would you know that? So we're on the lookout for a silver vehicle. That's all, a silver 4-door vehicle. And it's, let's see, hold on a second here. The suspect of this shot. Oh, my apologies. My apologies. Not Gina. Not Gina. Joey, I believe. Silver 4-door vehicle. And if the vehicle is still heading towards the Halifax area, so we're thinking they think, I don't know if it's the sister or the mom who was living in Halifax. So we were thinking he was driving towards Halifax to do who knows what. So we just continue to drive. There was no sense of going to where the members were because they were already been taken care of. So we were still trying to pursue the suspect. Okay. More Elmsdale, more Elmsdale. They didn't like those videos. They really didn't like those videos. Trust me. We got to Elmsdale, and I think they came over the radio that their suspect was in the Sobeys parking lot, and they said it was the Truro Sobeys. But that didn't make sense because the way he was coming out, it just didn't add up. It had to be the Sobeys in Elmsdale. So we were on the opposite side of the highway to the Sobeys, and there was we could see over already. There was already ERT members there, and they cleared the area, and there was no sign of the suspect. So yeah, it was almost at a standstill at this point. The driver of the TAV, the armored vehicle, he said he needed to get some gas, and a few of the ERT guys needed to get some gas. So we were on the side of the road that we were on. I think it was the Petrican, a superstore. So we went up to the Petrican and basically provided cover for the driver of the TAV so that he could gas up. So the driver, I think it's Calvin Bayard. Anyways, he was gassing up the armored vehicle. I believe there was an ERT truck, 2 pumps down. We were just basically providing cover for Calvin. It was at this time that we saw a silver vehicle. It was stopped on the same side of the highway as us. A guy got out, looked towards us, went back to the truck and hauled something out of the truck. And it was long, and we were like, it's him. He's got a rifle. It's him. And then he got back into his vehicle, came back towards the Petrican. By this time, we were down by the TAV, the wheel wells. We had our carbines out. He said, or who he is, if he gets out, starts making motions towards us, we're going to have to make contact. So he gets out. I remember we were there, safety's off, and he gets out. And it's a goddamn tripod. It's a news reporter. We thought it was him. But anyways, we shout commands at him to get in his vehicle and whatever. And we kind of, try to gather ourselves together. Once Calvin finishes gassing up, we get in our vehicles and we pass him because the armored vehicle doesn't go that fast, and we're still making our way towards Halifax. We're maybe about a minute from the Enfield exit by the big stop, and we hear shots fired. So again, You just trying to get there just as fast as you can. We get on the off ramp, go to the bridge, and into the gas station, and we could hear again. Someone came on the radio and asked, "Could you repeat what you just said?" And a guy got on the radio, and I knew it was Craig because we talk all the time, and he just said in a clear and concise, which was amazing. He just said, "Shots fired, suspect down." And so we pulled in. We got once we pulled in there, they were in the process of taking the suspect out of the vehicle. So we went up, and yeah, the suspect was there, and I'm not sure if he was alive or deceased at the time. I was still kind of hoping a little bit that he was still alive, that we could hear or know what was going on. And a few words were said to him, and that was it. We just stayed there, and our support services officer, Inspector Don Moser, the real Don Moser, showed up with another officer, and they just checking to see if we were okay and that kind of thing. And then they just we're just checking, sorry. And then we went up and actually stayed with Craig for a little bit, just to see how he was doing. We found out that he shot him, and we didn't even really talk. We just stayed with him just to be there. And I can't remember how much time passed at that point, but I know when I think somebody came and got Craig, or it might have been the officers. And at that point, we just basically gathered ourselves, just the dog handlers and a couple of the ERT guys, and that was it. There wasn't much more for us to do, and just decided it was done, and we just went back home. Now, a couple of observations in there. So, that is the way back when, and I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for the second mention of the Sobeys. But the Elmsdale Petro video I did way back, and I did something earlier than that. And I had the video, and then of course Cert says, "Oh, yes, it was there. Sorry, we forgot about that." You knew about it the whole time. The Sobeys is in there. Elmsdale, because they were over there. He wasn't, but they were. And Truro, which I believe Truro Police Department, it's in other statements. So what's with the having knowledge of this gas station business? Where's the information coming from? And nobody seems to be asking these pertinent questions as to gas stations and Sobeys. 4 places. It's not making sense. I'm just going to backtrack a little bit here, okay? Yeah. Plus, you can also, there is one other thing. I believe that you'll be able to put 2 and 2 together in this statement, and figure out who was with Craig Hubley, right? Because there were 2 officers, according to that video. I'm just going to backtrack a little here, if that's okay. Yeah. You keep referring to this checkpoint at Port-a-Pic. Yeah. Was there somebody in charge of this checkpoint, like detailing anything, like a scene commander? Or I would assume it would have come from the risk manager, or whoever was at the scene, or whoever was the scene commander in the command office. So You got Rehill. I'm not sure who's doing the scene command. Is that West? Maybe. I would assume. Yeah, I would say that they were given instructions to put the checkpoint right there on the east side. But there wasn't like a scene commander, like an NCO on the ground there. Not a scene, not that I could see, but it was looked like two constables. I know that one works in our office, I know, but it was, yeah. And when you went back to Great Village Fire Hall, you went upstairs to the command center, the incident command center, stuff like that. Did they debrief you at all? No. Didn't even talk to them. Okay. Get some other info from you? No. It was pretty much that look of, what are you doing here, basically, which is not uncommon. Like, that's not really, I guess, we don't usually go to the command center. It's not really our spot to be. But at that time, I don't know. I just went up and just to say, hey, I'm here, whatever else you need. But it was that glare that you get, like, why are you here? So I knew it was time to get back out. Oh, okay. You didn't mention it, but as we discussed earlier, the time frames. Sure. Yeah. Inaudible. No, there's no tape, even though it says MP3 right at the top. Of course, there's tape. Inaudible, stuff like that. Were you there when Lisa Banfield was brought out? I was in the command center. Jeff was in the TAV at this point. I think they went down to search. I think the suspect had a warehouse or something, or some kind of a garage, and they were dealing with her. Yeah, so I didn't see her. Oh, okay. While you were out there, you mentioned that you were told, like, nobody to go into the hot zone when you first arrived. Yeah. Do you know where that information was relayed from? Or I would assume it would have come from the command center. I would assume that at the time the risk manager would have been there. Like I say, I don't know who was the incident commander at that time or who was giving the directions. It just came on the radio that no further members are to go inside past us at the checkpoint, which in a way I can understand, but in a way I can't. Like, it's an active shooter situation. In our courses, we're trained to immediately go in. But I also understand if there's members in there, you don't want blue on blue, basically. As well, especially if it's in a rural bush environment, it would be hard to do. I wouldn't just go in myself anyway, so I'd have to have at least cover, especially in that situation like that. I wouldn't even go in with general duty members, especially if I'm controlling my dog. It would be a minimum of 2 or 3 ERT members for sure. Right. What was the weather like? I mean, you said you were out there for several hours, 4 hours with your dog. You know what? It was, I can't recall exactly. Like, I wasn't cold. I know when I originally showed up, when I was leaving, I had like a really thin Arc'teryx toque on, but I wouldn't put on any of that stuff on, or if I had a helmet on anyway. But I know that I wasn't. It was it wasn't manageable. Like I wasn't cold, but I can't really tell you what kind of temperature it was at the time. Give me a second. I want to check a couple of things. Just one of our questions. We refer to mapping. So you said you only had your company phone, and then I guess your MWS for mapping, your mobile workstation. Okay, so in respect to his clothing, he's got quite a bit of clothing on, though, right? And he's working a lot. 2 GPS points. Right. Mobile workstation, company phone. He will elaborate on the mobile working station more, which does give us some insight. But company phone, got it. Christopher Luzzo, sorry. So, is that how you figured out where you were going with your MWS or what? To get to the original? Yeah, to the original. I kind of knew where Portapic was, so I knew how to get out of there. I didn't really look when I'm driving like that. I don't even really look at the maps, and sometimes the GPS doesn't really catch up until you're past the location. It depends on where you are when it comes to radio reception and satellite coverage. You know, RCMP said that this was all done, of course, years ago. Newspaper articles all about it. Moncton. So once I know that I'm on the main road heading towards Portapic, they are just like you'll see the vehicles. So basically, I just continued until I saw the checkpoint. Basically, I knew that was where I was supposed to go. I know through the rest of the day, we were getting calls coming in like, yeah, my computer wasn't even on. Like after so long, like the car it's turned off. Eventually the battery goes into power saving mode. So the MWS will shut down and you'll have to reboot and that kind of thing. So when everything went active again, I didn't even have time to really boot the computer. And we left. And basically, it was just follow everybody, right? So now he does have his GPS points, though. They have them. So they're probably pulling them off his phone. So on your initial approach, and the vehicle would need to be off for an extended period of time, not just shutting down in the middle of something. Noticing GPS going off in places where it seems rather odd. So in your initial approach, you knew the area because you're Bible Hill? Yeah. Have you ever done calls in Portapic before? No, just driven past it once or twice. Was down in Great Village a couple of times, but not Portapic. Yeah, it was only after this I had a couple of calls down there. But right. Yeah, but no, I was never there before. The whole area is just yeah. And you said en route that you pulled over put on your hard body armor and then go lights out and just in a, yeah, still quick, still quick, but a slower pace. Is that like for a bit of scene management, just a bit more safety precaution, situational awareness? Yeah, like a tendency for members to go head on, full lights and siren, right into God knows what. We've you know we've learned a lot from lessons from Moncton. Like, so we're like, we know what's going on, but why rush in and be a target yourself? So yeah, I just pulled over, took a breath, collected myself, got my gear, knew where everything was because when it comes to my truck, I'm pretty anal when it comes to that. And I got to know where everything is. So I just had everything prepared and ready. This guy really got his shit together, man. And then just calm and drive in and observe as I'm going, and I did at the time. I did pass one police vehicle passing me. And one of the members did wave. But I did pay no attention to it because I was unaware that the suspect was in a police vehicle. Now that sentence, you got to digest that for a moment. Firstly, you need to look at the GPS points, where he is when he's passing the police car. He's en route. Okay, he's just put on his body armor. It's somebody, right? Now he is observant. He's very observant. He knows headlights. He would notice if headlights were off. He would notice that. But to say, we didn't know anybody was driving around. Balls. You take the GPS point and you take the time. There you go. Interesting. Do it. It's enlightening. I'm probably getting yelled at right now. Where is that? That's between Great Village. There's a time frame there. What time did it work out to be? The window. I'm not recalling it off the top of my head. Stops. Let's see if we can find it. I had his stuff open. Where is that? Google Earth. Okay. Actually, it's probably better just to use his. Sorry, one moment. All right, so let's bring up his GPS. I'm pretty sure this is his, given the description that he says and everything, and the fact that it's a K vehicle, which is K9. So I linked it in the chat there. Now he'll stop. He stops and he puts on his hard body armor. Oh, did they take it out? Hmm. Interesting. Uh-oh. Spaghetti-o. What's going on here? 11:18. Hmm. 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 There seems to be an absence. Interesting. He said it was between. I'll probably get a phone call here in a moment, I suspect. $83. $82. You can time it out, but that's missing his information now, or what it was there. I'm 99% sure because I got it narrowed down to like a window. Well, I didn't. Somebody else did. Thank you. And you can tell because it's about a 5-minute window, which means that he would have left at a certain time. Balls, I had it written down too. Whoever left was driving the opposite way. And again, it's not to say that it was whomever, because again, if you go through his statement, he will, as we're going to continue, he will say there's more going on. So we should probably, but those of you who have the old GPS records, which I do have somewhere else, but I'm not going to bother to root through that right now. There, to the best of my knowledge, there's a gap. Sorry, not a gap. A period where he stopped, and you can time out how long it takes to get to Portapique, right? And then how long it is from Portapique to where he would be roughly, right, in that distance. And you can time out roughly when that person would be leaving or when that police vehicle is that he would see. So to say that there wasn't anyway is just pure balls. Looking back, like I don't even know if I would have been him. I don't even know if that would have been him, or if he was out of the area already. I don't know, but yeah, I still think about that. Like if I had been, or sorry, if I had I probably would have taken more notice to the police car. If I had known, I would have taken more notice of the police car that went past me. But again, at the same time, the call sign Hopefully this person will let me know. I don't even know where my damn phone is. At the same time, there we go. Just hold on one moment, please. Okay, thank you. Another way to look at it. Very smart. Maybe the data wasn't missing. I don't know. I can't. But if you do look at it this way, right? What we can do is go to, as the point, thank you very much for helping me with that. This person is very helpful to us. So if you look, here we are in Great Village, right? What time do we have roughly here? We've got, what does that say? I can't even read that. Let's use the records that they gave us. Where's that? Okay, so if he's in Great Village, right? And he's, let's say, choose like this one, 23:26. So 11:26, right? You guys can see that over here. Okay. And how long does it take to get to Portapique for him? Now he's going pretty speedy, but let's just say anybody can drive around like that. 11:26, 11:27, 11:28, 11:29. And got him down at the end of the road at 11:31. So 11:31 from Great Village, essentially, right? 26 to 31. So it's about a 5 to 6 minute drive. So in that frame of time, and you also have to calculate the reverse direction that they would be then passing one another at about the midway through point. So that's going to be about 11:29 that he's passing a police vehicle with their headlights probably on. So interesting. Irrespective of whether it was or was not Wortman or an assailant of group or whatever, for them to say that they didn't see a police car, bullshit. It's going to be on Dave's video, by the way, probably driving the opposite way later. So stop feeding bullshit to people, please. And he's like, I wouldn't have known. Why didn't they tell him? Why weren't they telling officers? Why are they putting all these people's lives in danger? if it's, I wouldn't pay attention to that, to the call sign on the vehicle. If it's, you know, if it's a fairly new car, it looks pretty much like ours. I mean, I don't know. I didn't read what the numbers on it. So yeah, I don't know, but I know as I was driving, he wasn't going with lights on, meaning his siren lights and sirens. So I didn't know if it was a member just being relieved or if he was going back to the command center. I don't know. Again, he's not using the words mock up and all this other stuff, right? So that was just past Great Village. I'm not trying to be tinfoily. It's his words. So that was past Great Village. Yeah, yeah. Okay. And when you said so your dog's got a vest on as well. What the fuck? He just told you a really important piece of data. Like a really important piece of data. A vehicle heading the opposite direction, away from Portapique, in this time frame. And what is Luzzo's follow-up question? Does he delve any further into this? Does he want to know anything about this? No. What he wants to do is talk about a vest for the dog. Probably something he should follow up on, like a good investigator would. First-hand observations. Absolutely. This guy's got training out the wazoo. 20 years. Operates under, literally kind of his own authority. Is a person when he comes into the scene. He's not a braggart. He's not being a braggart. That's what he does. Officers look at him for the authority. He is the authority in many positions. And yet you don't follow up with him? You want to talk about a vest? Really? Okay. Continuing on. And when you said so you put your dog's vest on as well. Yep. Yeah. Well, he's got a ballistic vest. Yeah, got a regular. So every time we do regular tracking, it's just like a tracking harness. It's more of a high risk thing. We put a ballistic vest. They tend to be fairly heavy, and so you wouldn't use it in a crazy hot environment and a long time. But yeah, I put that on, and so I put on his vest. I just put on a regular tracking vest, not a ballistic one at that time. But he did, like, honestly, this one's not too hard to say. He said, I don't even know if I did pass him or not, and I'm thinking about it. Why is he not following up? He told you. Luzzo, he told you, MCC. They should call Mr. Sutton. I know the lawyers watch this one. I'd be very curious why you don't, if you don't. Not that I don't already have a lot of questions. What the fuck is going on with these lawyers? Maybe it was Jeff Wall, but did you go over to the 5 houses or track there? 5 houses. Yeah, like when got pulled off of Portapique, they were going to search for some of the flashlights. So no, that wouldn't have been me. I was basically sure. I was not entirely sure. I know that Glenn Brown was there. I know he was down at where one of the members was shot. I know that he did search for the carbine. God, this stuff, it just always spins off into other things. I want to talk about other stuff, but got to stay focused. Got to stay focused. I know that, but I can't recall any of the houses there. I know we did search an area where they said that it looked like there was a light flashing in the woods. We went down with the team and we searched the whole area. And what it appears to be was that there was a light on one of the houses with the wind in the trees, and it almost looks like somebody had a flashing light. We did talk to the people inside the house, and there was no, yeah, we didn't hear or see anything. So they were just basically taking shelter, I guess. Resources pulled off over a Porta Pig on looking at this. Okay. Do you recall if there was any plan or action or decision made about starting to move people out of Porta Pig, an evacuation plan? I know at the checkpoint, a number of vehicles did come out. A number of vehicles did come out and were checked by 2 members. And I know the kids that were in the house with the members were evacuated out before the members came out. Other than that, there was still people inside certain houses, like the one that we thought had the lights flashing. But I didn't hear anything about people being evacuated at that time. When you're saying these cars that were checked on the way out, can you describe that? It was vehicles just pulled up to where the police car was. The 2 members basically talked to them, checked the back seat, maybe looked and checked the trunk. And again, I wasn't that close because I was still in the bush taking cover, just scanning. But they did stop and check every vehicle that was coming out. And I can't really tell you how many came out. But yeah, there was a number of vehicles that drove out. Okay. It just sounds like they stop. And some of the statements, they also indicate, just kind of get out of here. Just get the fuck out. How thorough are you looking? Did they ID these people? Did they know what the hell was going on? When you say you were sort of in the woods, like where the mailboxes were, or roughly around there, yeah, on the other side, both. Actually, I'd change positions. You can literally see him going across the highway in his GPS. If you look at it, let's bring that up. But I mean, this is somebody that you really could use. Was this a wise investment? Now, granted, those 2 members at the end of the road did need cover, obviously, but why not dispatch them? But he wasn't supposed to go into the hot zone? Huh? Why not? No, it doesn't work. Doesn't work. Really? It doesn't, does it? Here he is. All kinds of places. Here he goes over here. And, what are you talking about, man? Don't give me that. Maybe walk out on the main road and because you're almost, you don't want to be in the same spot, especially if this guy is on foot. Part 2, MP3. Hey? No, you don't. You can't hear that. No, people can't come and testify. What are you talking about, man? What was the support like for you after these events? Listen to his story. None. You want me to be frank? Yes, please. We, at the end of the incident, we were all taken off the board and went home. I believe that would have been the Sunday by this time, I think. Yeah, just went home, still couldn't really absorb what happened. Monday morning came, signed back on like it was a regular day. I was tasked at that time, I think we went back to Wentworth, searched around the residence that where the suspect was. Yeah, by this time, we were just helping out major crime guys doing scenes. I think the reason we went back there was because the guy in the house said the suspect spent a lot of time there. This is actually the point that I was making, but this was what I said the other day. The guy in the house said he spent a lot of time there, walking around the property and mostly around the fire pit. That seems like pretty specific knowledge. Because it's not jiving with what was presented. So he kind of thought that he might have left something there or planted something. And we searched that place, yeah, high and dry, and there was nothing there. I don't know if the MCC is just shitting everybody. Doesn't seem to jive with what Mr. Sutton seems to say. Is this the property in Glenholm, the Fishers? Yeah, where he pulled up. Excavators and yes, yeah. Okay. We searched that, came back. I think it was the next day that we were back down in Portapic searching the scenes and the bush area. We had it was like a substantial bush area to search. So we had to do we get our supervisor to go and contact those guys, try to get a dog over to help us. I think we had 3 to 4 dogs searching the bush area. So yeah, we just drove back into it. I know there were members off. They were removed. I don't know if the reference to being removed, I'm not following that. Removed? Some didn't come back to work for months if they're still not back. Now, were they removed or did they just, I don't know, are they in a position to be calling in, taking leave at that point? Okay. I don't think so. Removed sounds like they were taken off. They brought teams in from Quebec, Ontario to relieve members, and we still continued to work. Realistically, we didn't even have time to process what happened. So yeah, it was just like you kind of, I don't know, by this time we were basically in survival mode. Like I was home after the shift, but I wasn't home, and just basically pretty much like a zombie. You got to go, you're going to call, and you're still after hours, you're still on call traveling. Yeah, we didn't have I think I had one day off after the incident and went back at it. I know that our supervisor was trying to get some relief for us. I know the fact some divisions did offer to send their dogs over, and it was ignored from the top up. This guy is honest, man. Real honest. Basically, the offers were, yeah, ignored. And we continued to work. And yeah, I don't know if it was almost a week later, then they got a couple of dogs in to relieve us. And the first day off, I actually had to put my retired service dog. Had to put down my retired service dog. What? His day off, like, that's his day off. These guys get really close with their dogs. Real close. He's having to put it down. Good. Why? Because, well, it was ignored from the top. So it was just keep going, right? I was just trying to deal with that. And yeah, so we had the usual, thoughts and prayers, but we continued to work. So you didn't attend or had set up any like critical debriefs? We had a debrief. We had a debrief with, I think they had a couple of psychologists and basically just the dog guys at headquarters. We did that. And then we had one with ERT team. Yeah, just a bit of a debrief there. That was pretty much, the emails came out like these. This is available. This is available. Yeah, that was it. There was nobody touched base with us. I think the only one that contacted us was our immediate supervisor, and he was pissed off because he's trying to get bodies to come and help us, trying to get bodies to help us and to come in. And yeah, he was just angry. And yeah, we just continued to work what we could, I guess. So I guess we could have, I don't know, we could have easily said that we're going off, but I didn't want to leave Jeff and the boys and vice versa. Like, we just don't want to leave one guy covering doing all of this. So yeah, we just pushed and we went through. This guy is really honest. Seriously. And somebody that should be asked questions of. He tells you all kinds of truths. And he told them. Whether it was how hard things are, people were working, as in specifically, because you'll get into a little bit more here. And it's not like he's not saying, listen, I don't look at me or whatever. He's not doing that. It's nothing about that. It's about like just the fact that he's blowing his horn. He's like, what the fuck are you doing, man? One of your co-workers got shot. Get off it. Boss is pissed off. What's going down from the top? Come on, ignoring people. This is the system. This is the machine. And it just eats up good people and spits them out. You went back to Portapic doing some other searches? Mm-hmm. Like just for property, for evidence? Yeah. So they believe that he came out and drove up a back road. And there was also talks that his girlfriend was hiding in the woods. There was also talks that his girlfriend was hiding in the woods. And she was taped up. And we had to look for some tape. Interesting wording. I find, is it something that maybe should be looked into a little bit more? Sure, he would know. Maybe not. Some areas are very thick. She claims to have been, listen to that. So yeah, on the beach area, just anywhere, we thought he might have been, or she was, or claims to have been when everything was going on? Is he trying to say something? Or is he just saying, we don't know? He's not definitive like, oh, you know what? She just got beat up, all this other stuff. Yeah, it has to be true. He is not coming to these conclusions, but he's also saying claims to have been. Interesting wording. Interesting. Same with the police car, member's car. And I'm not being tinfoily, and please, Mr. Sutton, forgive me if I'm coming to some kind of wrong conclusion. But I hear something there. And I certainly hear somebody who is very honest, works hard, and is upset. And it's no longer, to the best of my knowledge, to what it says here, working. And probably we're going to lose that. We're going to lose it. Great job. Were these like paths through the place? Were they like small, like deer paths? Or were they big enough for almost like a footpath? Let's see if this jives. Let's see if it jives. It's not like it's not like it's not, yeah, it's like almost like if there were a couple of paths that you could cross over to go to your neighbor's house, or there was even a couple, even multiple ones, like even with the we had a GPS. Quit feeding people bullshit about GPS not working. He tells you. He tells you. The evidence tells you. My tweet told you. We had a GPS. Not that it was that old. I'm telling you forever. Not you. I'm not getting angry at you, but these people, come on, man, get it together. Like if you'd go through, it's almost like you were circling and you'd come back to the same house. Like if you were just, for us, we mostly stuck to the footpaths and trails. It was easier for the dog to maneuver as opposed to trying to go through the thick bush. That's where the TAC team would have come into play. So so I mean, like it was just like multiple little shortcuts or paths going to a different road. And the only way I can describe it really, the area that we were in, we didn't find anything. I know the TAC team did find some duct tape and stuff like that may have had some hair on it, like that. But I think as far as the dogs go, we didn't find anything substantial. Where's the jacket? Where's all the rope and LL Beans and bathrobes and you don't know, which you put on over top of a coat as somebody, you put the coat on over top of which somebody's holding. Totally illogical. Doesn't work. You arrest Clinton. Put him in cuffs. Nope. Don't ask questions here. Where's the shoes? Any DNA? Absolutely. Do these paths and stuff look like they were made or just by way of usage? Yeah, I think by usage, it looked like they were there for a long time. So I think they were heavily used, and some you were just trying to bushwhack to get through to where you had to go. I think forensics had already located multiple casings. And that area was pretty much trampled over as well. Where's the multiple casings? You know, that are stamped on the bottom of them, like they all are, with the caliber. Where's the forensics? The ballistics? Just like, where's the uniform? Don't know. Nothing to see here. After the Portapic incidents, we had a guy who retired. He'd had enough. We had another guy who, actually, we had two guys retire. It just left me and Jeff. Okay, so now he's talking about the dog handlers. Specifically about Nova Scotia dog handlers. 4. So basically, we were the two dogs for the province for basically a year. Now, these guys have to have a lot of training. So it's not like somebody can just come in and do it. But still, a whole entire province covered by two guys. So the way that it looked was that I would cover the whole province for a week. And then he would cover the whole province for a week, and we'd take a week at a time, basically covering the whole province for a year. Really? Huh. And he wasn't going to leave Jeff high and dry. So most of your calls service are filtered through the OCC. They are, which they have a risk manager at the OCC as well, who would decide if we should call the dog. And a lot of times, if they're uncertain, they would actually call on us to get our opinion, if it's worth going out or not. You understand what kind of knowledge these guys are packing. This isn't a general duty. This is something else. So there's a pre-triage that takes place? Yes. By a staff sergeant there? Yeah. Talking about the OCC, but OCC is consulting. OCC consults with dog handlers. These guys know their stuff. Okay, and who makes the ultimate decision, whether the municipal resources are tapped too? Like, is it, I think it goes up support services, crops, leather. Basically, they deal with it when it comes to that. So it goes fairly high up the chain. It goes high. Yeah. He's been working in 3 provinces. He's a corporal. So how did they prepare you for taking the step towards management? It was just your work ethic, how you responded to files. They send you on, if you show your competency enough that you actually have a sense to guide members, they'll send you on I think it's a supervisory course. It's just basically basically just for how to review and conclude files on the system that we have. But other than that, it's just, yeah, if you showed competency, you're working great, and you showed leadership, uh, and how to guide members. That's it. Unless you and then you do, if you want to go higher in rank, then you write an exam, and then you have to do, if you apply to certain positions, you got to do a competency resume in which several core values, you've got to write examples of how you meet those, like in continuous learning and knowledge of legislation, that kind of thing. Um, so he's got his 20 years in. I really hope we don't lose somebody like this. It just would piss me right off. So when you came back to Nova Scotia, like, what was your perception of the frontline supervision of these younger members, or the GD members, general duty? Next to none. It's unbelievable. Like, you show, a lot of times, like I said, if you show up, chances are you're going to be taking on the role of supervisor and guiding these members as to where they should go and what they should be doing right now. A lot of times you often see, when you pull up, it's almost like a sigh of relief. Thank God. Thank God the dog guy's here, because they're just sitting there. We'll also have sometimes people who are supervisors by their rank, and it's a deer in the headlights as to, what do we do? And I'm like, I don't know. You're running the show. Like, you tell me. Like, I'm a tool for you. I'm a tool for you. The way, like, God's tool. But a lot of times there's a lot of, if even there is a supervisor on the road, which is very rare, that you will see that. And I don't know if it's because of just the shortages, or I don't know what it is, but very often, like a lot of times, very rare, you'll have a 5 or 6 members on the scene. It just doesn't happen because there's nobody around. Yeah. Why would Sutton need to be fired? Where the hell is that coming from? Where's that coming from? Why does Sutton need to be fired? Because he's telling the truth? That doesn't even make sense, what you just said there, Robert. That doesn't even make sense, man. Well, you're missing good stuff, because this guy's really, really laying it down. And he'll continue. Any significant changes in policing, in between policing, from your perspective? Whereas here, or in Newfoundland, I mean, if you had an ERT deployment, you were looking at containing the area for 5 or 6 hours before they arrived. Air support is pretty much non-existent. Every time we call that damn chopper, it's down for maintenance, or the plane's not flying. No, I don't think he is. I think we may have lost him. Which is just tragic. I hope not. I pray, I literally do, because this guy is really lays it down. And some of it isn't even spoken word. You got to maybe read between the lines. So, Henkel, this is another one of the investigators. So I'm just going through. So I hate to bring you back to Portapique. I just have a few more questions on that. Maybe you could ask about the car passing. Oh no. So when you arrive at the checkpoint that you described, did you take any? Were you involved in any discussions about the containment in the area? No. Or are you just providing cover for a few? I just, yeah, I just notified dispatch where I was and I stayed there. Did you overhear any discussions on the radio as to anything as to containment on that or at that time? Or did you have any concerns about the containment of the area? Well, we had two at the checkpoint. When I was coming into Portapique, there was nothing. There was nobody on the main road. I know further down past the scenes, there was a couple of vehicles on the east side. I didn't hear much on the radio. I can't recall. I just, for the most I can say is that we were told nobody goes inside past that. Huh. Really don't want people down there. Don't go there. Nobody goes past that. That's all I know at that point. And yeah, and again, there's a lot of radio chatter going on, but you're not really paying a whole lot of attention to what's being said, because there's a lot of it that just seems to be the same thing over again. Peter. Fancy titles. Any suspect info relayed to you at the scene, like from general duty members there? Or I didn't get anything. Like I said at the time the initial call came out, there was mention of a police vehicle with multiple people being shot, but I didn't know the suspect was identified. I didn't know that I didn't know that the suspect was driving or had a marked police vehicle. I didn't know that. Why? Why was this kept secret until 10:40? Only certain people got to know that piece. Huh. Strange. Very strange. Police vehicle, police vehicle, police vehicle, police vehicle, police vehicle, member vehicle. Don't know, maybe just calling it that. I'm not sure. Could be just nothing. Travel time. Do you remember your travel time roughly from your home to, oh my God, it's less than 20 minutes, half an hour, if that. When you got to the command post, I think you pretty much said that, was there any direction given to you guys on your duties, responsibilities once you got to the command post? No. Were you debriefed by anybody? No. What? This guy, you're not even using. What all these skills that he's got is it at the end of the road. Don't worry about it. Don't debrief him. Don't talk to him. Make him feel like crap out in his vehicle. Send him all over the place. Then have him working his ass off. Give him a day off so he can put down his service dog? His old service dog? He's laying on the horn. What the fuck are you guys doing? Come on. You got a comrade who's whatever the terminology, I don't know, whatever. Co-worker, shot, just sitting around, So you and the other dog handler decided on your own to take some evasive action and just go, right? Yeah. Yeah, we discussed it. Well, should we leave? Should we follow in? And it was like, yeah, pretty much unanimous. We just said we're going. This is people laying back, doing nothing. This guy's all in. Now, how often would you say that you've been deployed as part of the critical incident package in this province? Yeah, it's been a fair amount in this province. It's a lot, and the majority of it, it's a lot of the majority of it. It's like planned warrants or controlled takedowns or controlled buys, and this division is really good when it comes to that for utilizing dogs. We'd always, if it was planned, we'd most always have two dogs with the team as a package. If there was only one available, well, that's what you'd use. But yeah, the majority, my God, you're almost doing a warrant or a door kick almost once a week, at least here. It's and your thoughts on the command and control structure of the package, as you know, since you've done quite a few here in this province. It depends on the person, depends on the incident commander at the time. You should have, if you're containing an area, we're going to make entry and we know somebody's inside. One commander it could be very quick and to the point to deploy gas and entry, as opposed to an incident commander who's maybe a little bit more hesitant, who should wait 4 or 5 hours to get negotiators, do everything possible before a team enters. So, yeah, pretty much actually depends on the person who's running the show, I'd say. And I'm sure that it's, you can take it like, oh, he's gung ho and stuff like that. But really, actually, if you think about it, he's not using words like light it up or anything foolish. I'm not saying that those guys are fools, but you know what I'm saying? We'd have to make contact. It's not about Rambo, but he's also about getting things done, which is pretty great. And he tells the truth. And your experiences in BC, any major differences that you'd compare provinces to the same organization? They have moved. I've noticed that there's been a shift of it's faster now gaining entry as opposed to waiting a day negotiating. And I think it just takes, because a lot of times when the containment is done by the general duty members. So if you're waiting and waiting and waiting. You've got these members who have already done like 10-hour shift who are containing. They're exhausted, so they probably can't even complete their next shift when the time comes. So I think they're moving to the point where let's go in, gain entry in a safe way, more or less, like a more of a shock and awe type thing, not to give the suspect time to barricade himself and to think about his options. And so it's getting better. I know when we were in BC, there was a lot more of that. But balance that too with the fact that you have to have guys who are well trained and got their heads about themselves, like this fellow. Otherwise, if you're just bursting indoors, you're going to end up with Rambos. Lighten it up. Light it up. I guess call volume, more calls, call volume as compared to Newfoundland. And of course, BC, more resources, more calls, more call volume as compared to Newfoundland. Like Newfoundland doesn't get a lot of calls. H division, I thought, would have been the lower key province, but it's probably one of the busiest. It's the critical incident package is used a lot here that I've noticed anyway. There's something being said there. But in most cases, it comes on the shoulders of us to educate members. Sounds like somebody would want to have training people. But we've never actually been given anything on containment when it comes to that. Concealment. So let's see here. No, it's your skills, your crowd control, cuffing techniques, baton, your firearms, pepper spray, and then scenarios to make sure that the proper intervention option is used in this specific situation. And it's like briefly, it'll be touched upon briefly, as if you're pulling over a vehicle, like your cover, concealment, that kind of thing. But we've never been given anything on containment when it comes to that. Just drag your back to Portapic, just to drag you back to Portapic. I know you mentioned about patching the radio system. Do you know if that was ever done? Or I think, yeah, it was done shortly after. I think it was Constable Stevenson was shot. So they did patch it. It was patched, yeah. Okay. This was supposed to be done, by the way. There are articles, I have them, about Nova Scotia. 2017, they said they had it all done because of Moncton. So why is it that they're saying they'll do it after Heidi died? What the fuck were they doing? Okay, and who would look after, just for the listeners, that's not you, by the way. You don't get to listen. The families don't get to listen. The MCC and their lawyers get to listen. Just for the listeners, who would do that? Would you know where that takes place? It would be out of the OCC. I think they do have the radio communications that the person that patches through, yeah, it works. Yeah, it does the patches there. One moment, please. Let's see here if we can find something. Hard drive. What this all about? Giving out awards. Glenn Byron, Commander, Nova Scotia RCMP Communications Operations Communication Center. You know, with Dustine and all that. There's somewhere I have a great video of that. Has been awarded the 2020 National OCC Award as OCC Commander of the Year. I mean, he's a really great guy. This national award recognizes consistent work excellence and alignment with the RCMP core values and honesty, integrity, professionalism, compassion, accountability, and respect. Here's what his supervisor, Inspector Dustine Brodier, had to say about Glenn. Glenn has dedicated his career to ensuring that OCC is running efficiently and successfully. He is the subject matter on operations, technology, and administration. Again, all these buzzwords. Like, really, can we just make it simple? They like the big words. records. Because of this, though they're not that big, of RCMP divisions regularly turn to Glenn for his guidance and insight. Shouldn't Glenn have been complaining about all of this patch radio shit for a long time? Hey, you said that would be done, and it doesn't appear to be done at all. Glenn is incredibly adept at building relationships with other agencies and sharing best practices for the betterment of public safety communications. And so Glenn is showing others. Internally, so much of what Glenn does behind the scenes, but our police officers rely on the support in order to offer excellence to the public. Excellent service. Glenn's top priority is always safety of his employees, the members of the road, public we serve. Probably this one should be number one, public that we serve, but I'm not exactly sure why that always falls at the bottom. His dedication to the profession is just like the police stickers here we have in Calgary. Nothing to do. Courage, integrity, and vigilance. What the fuck does that have to do with serving the public? Dedication of profession and his profession and organization is second to none, and we are very lucky to have his expertise in H Division. Congratulations, Glenn. Oh, sorry, what's the date on this again? April 17th, 2020. That would be when? The day before. Blah. Blah. There's a problem with that. But they're giving out awards. Okay, moving along. Not sure how this is working quite, but I guess in some bizarro world, it is. Who's paying for it? I want my underwear back. Patches through? Yeah, it works. Does the patch there? Well, I don't know. Any issues with your cell phone as far as reception with your comms when you were in Portapique area? I didn't have any issues when it came to that. A GPS. A GPS. GPS. A GPS. All over the place, GPS. When you reboot, I know you mentioned that your mobile workstation and the computer in the car, it's going into power saving mode. When you reboot, do you have to relog on with the dispatcher, or can you do it manually on your workstation? A lot of times you do get on the radio and say, can you log me out? And I have to log back in. And sometimes you can just do that back in. You can just go back in, and that's where you left off. But it takes a while for the reboot again, and it depends on the service area as well. We got all these toys. I think you can just kind of fix this stuff. And your GPS, your mobile workstation, yeah, that's only one GPS point of multiple. You have to be logged on for it to kick in. As far as I know, you have to be logged in. So why aren't people logging in? Or why are they logging off? What the fuck's going on there? I don't think it's cars going off because they're driving and then they just suddenly disappear. I'm like, huh? I just want to clarify. When you get notified, ERT was attending in relation to when you first got notified. I don't know. I don't even think there was a mention of it on the radio. Well, when I was dispatched, there was no mention that ERT was being contacted or en route yet, because I still think the details were still coming in. Save the car. Save the suspect. No, don't worry about that. You can just drive by him. It's okay. Maybe. There was still a lot of confusion. Yeah, I think it was only when I was driving down there that they said ERT was going to be, they were en route or they were getting ready. So when you arrived at Portapique Beach Road, Highway 2, you knew that ERT they were coming. En route, yeah. Okay, and I'm I understand that this is absolutely, and I should really kind of tone it down a little bit. I know that there was a lot going on. I get it. And obviously, this is the situation that nobody's been in before. But this is why they have all kinds of training and do all kinds of stuff. They have handbooks on all this stuff, you know, and it is about bettering it for next time. There were people that really respond very well, rose to the occasion, and there were people who didn't. With general duty members, canine specific, have sort of switch hats and just be like general duty. So this kind of more to the point of what kind of skills is this guy packing? We switch hats, especially when it comes to rapid deployment. When it like that, you wouldn't, if there's an active shooter, I wouldn't have my dog out anyway. He, he's kind of a jack of all trades. Dog handlers are jacks of all trades. Okay, so somewhat of a loaded question. Again, you don't have to answer it all. Is there anything that you thought we'd be asking you today that we haven't, that you feel should be touched on? No, I don't think so. I mean, for us, obviously, that more information is out. The more information is out, you kind of question, like, well, how come certain info might have been lost in translation? I guess, like, it would have been nice to know the details that possibly other people had. I'll just make him go sit in the car with all the skills. Like, I would have loved to know that this guy was in a marked car and that kind of thing. And even right now, down to resourcing, like, if we had maybe a little bird in the air with some night vision, maybe, or a FLIR, like, maybe they would have been circling around and they're like, hey, you know what? There's a heat signature up in Debert. Can somebody go check that out? But our planes are down, and I can understand a situation like that. But you wouldn't use a civilian aircraft in case he'd take fire. But I don't know. It's just questions like that. But yes, as far as the commission, like, no, it was pretty much what I expected. I talked to the two guys who were actually at the house that we extracted, and they're good friends. Interesting. I mean, you couldn't tell really who was who. But they did have some information. And of course, there weren't information sharing going on. Certain things they could have done that they didn't. And a lot of it is the hot zone, like, stay out of there. Hey, how's it going? Any chances you would have, and then chances are you would have, I don't know, let's just go back to this. And I don't know if it would have made a difference because there are so many police cars there. I mean, you couldn't really tell who was who. And chances are that you probably would have rolled up and said, hey, how's it going? End of the road. I think maybe. And it could have been like him. Like, you don't really know. So, yeah, it was just, I don't know. It was just mass chaos from the get-go. Like, even right there, and I don't know, it's people read a lot of stuff. I I'd like to think at the time, let's see what the question is. If you had the opportunity to change things and provide recommendations from a person who was boots on the ground, what would you like to see if you had an opportunity to have some say? I'd like to think at the time that we were given as much information as they had, but I just hope that that specific information wasn't kept from us. That's all. It just feels like as soon as you walk into these command centers, it's like you don't need to be here. You don't need to know what's happening. Despite you have spent 6 hours being the puppet out there, you know? Yeah. Obviously more dogs because you guys are stretched thin throughout the province. Yeah. I mean, realize, yeah, that for a situation like that, like, I mean, even if we had 10 dogs, basically there'd only be one in the chute, meaning in the truck at the time, in the vehicle anyway. So the dogs would be on standby in case we needed them, which would be great. But yeah, more air support for sure. I mean, our equipment, we're equipped the same as ERT team. So when it comes to like that, like there was nothing that I needed as in a dog handler. I was fully self-sufficient there, even a lot better off than the members because I had night vision. I had FLIR. I'm sitting at mailboxes because that's where they stick me. But he did say he would be there covering for those people because they didn't have cover. But why didn't they have cover? They had a lot of people down at the service at the emergency, or sorry, the command center. Why not send? But he's like, I don't want to go down unless I have cover. I had FLIR. I had carbine, hard body armor, which is totally different than what they had. Yeah, resourcing, and communication for sure. You mentioned frontline supervision. What do you think of general division members? Yeah, I don't. That needs to be, even before the situation happened, there needs to be a little bit more better supervision. And even some of the supervisors, as far as I'm concerned, and there's a lot of incompetence when it comes to that. Like, you can have the rank of sergeant, but realistically, yeah, that's great. You passed your exams, you wrote a pristine competency, and you got the job, but your actions on the ground are just totally incompetent. Now, I'm sure I'm emphasizing words. He's not, but it's his words. The actions on the ground are just totally incompetent. Some less than a cadet, really, and that's just part of our promotion system. That's kind of lost here. A lot of times you're not promoted on your work ethic and your safety. You can write about it, but it shows on the ground, what kind of police officer you are. So that's kind of frustrating when you see people in these ranks that I wouldn't, me personally, trust a goldfish with, to be honest. Let's reread that sentence. So yeah, so that's kind of frustrating when you see people in these ranks that I wouldn't, me personally, wouldn't trust a goldfish with. To be honest. And it's scary because yeah, we're the ones that are supposed to be protecting the public. And yeah, a lot of times you're just shaking your head as to, I can't believe you even carry a sidearm. Like it's ridiculous. Wow. Boom. I want this guy on the, on the street, but he should. There are people like him. God, if we lose him, what a loss. Just tell it how it is. Tell it how it is. I don't think it's a career killer. I think we lost him. And again, that's just pure speculation. But he's on leave, right? So he worked a year, covered half a province, even 1 week where he's covering an entire province. 1 week on half a province, 1 week half a province, and then the other guy's half a province, so you get a week off, and then the full province. Again, you can talk to them till you're blue in the face, but you get the whole same thing, thoughts and prayers. But there's no action taken after that, Yeah, I think if I shouldn't read it out of context, like let's read the context. Ert debrief was basically the same as they went from person to person as to what we did. And yet, excuse me, yeah, I think after that they started trying to figure it out. Well, what we could have done better, but it was just more, I don't know. Yeah, just to say your role, and we have somebody here if you want to talk to, but that's, like, you're going to debrief them fully or no? Again, you can talk to them until you're blue in the face, but you get the whole same thing, thoughts and prayers, but there's no action taken after that, Yeah, I think if there was a little bit more follow-up and support, I don't know. You probably wouldn't have half of the members, maybe including myself, that wouldn't be leaving because they just broke us. Remember what I've been saying since the start. Stories. I try and give stories of people, and I got piles of them. But just trust me, this system eats them, and then we lose them. And what do we left with? I mean, it's just tragic. And he didn't bail. He didn't walk away. He wasn't like, he had the opportunity. I'm sure it probably was pretty tough for him to go back, because I do know that those service dogs to those guys are like everything. They live with them, they sleep with them, they do everything. It's far more than a pet. And he loses his dog too. Not just his ex-dog, on his day off. Because it's a resource, so it's not his. So it's really sad. But you got to respect the honesty of this guy. And I think he needs to be listened to. And I really think it would be my eyebrows would severely get raised if they don't ask him to come in and testify and just ask him the questions, because he's going to tell you. All right. Let me just look at some of your comments here. And, maybe somebody got in trouble for that. I don't know. Heard something about some of that, which would be very unfortunate. But of course, it wouldn't. That's what you do. You get mad at the people who do the right things. It's got to stop. Just one second. Okay, sorry. How would Adam know if he spent a lot of time there? I again, it's not jiving. Not jiving. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just simply saying what the MCC said versus what Mr. Sutton said and the actions that he took. He did say, I think that it was because the owner said, but it's pretty specific, right? I think it's because I'll reread that just so I've got it clear. I don't want to say that incorrectly. And Monday morning came, and we signed back on. It was a regular day. I was tasked at the time, I think we went back to Wentworth, searched around the residence where the suspect was. Yeah, by this time, we were helping out with major crime guys, just doing the scenes. I think the reason we went back there was because back there is because the guy in the house said the suspect spent a lot of time walking around the property and mostly by the fire pit area. So he kind of thought that he might have left something. But that's pretty specific. It's a lot of time. He knows where, the fire pit area, planting stuff. That's pretty specific. That makes me ask questions. Like I said on whatever the last video, I'm like, it's just not working. It's not working. The stills and stuff like that. And again, I stand corrected because and I won't do that now because I want to stay with just what Sutton said. But I do need to I don't like making any mistakes about anything. This is kind of me. I'm a bit like this fellow is a bit anal about his vehicle and having all of his stuff in order and knowing where to go and, taking his time. I'm kind of like that too with my information. I like to make sure it's as best as I can tell correct. And so in the foundational document, it does have stills in there that do have before and after time frames. But what does that mean? Is the car moving around? And if you think about the 2 minutes, and there's certain pieces missing in there, but again, I'm not going to get into that at this point in time. Just makes me have a lot of questions about that. Okay, so what are you guys' impressions? He seems very straightforward, happy that he speaks out. But I think, like he said right there at the end, what is it? Just tragic. It makes me sad. What did he say? You probably wouldn't have half the members, maybe including myself, that wouldn't be leaving because they just broke us. I again, well, whose other statement was I reading the other day where it said it wouldn't take their truck? You need a tractor to go through there. It was nuts. There's no way there would be a big truck could even get through there. So, and it was overgrown stuff, I think. Dion seems to echo, there's no, it's just footpaths. Her shoes, I just kind of want to stay with Dion's comments, if possible, at this point. Sutton seems very capable of the job. Yes, very capable. If the Sutton guy was running the show that night and day, imagine how many lives would have been saved. But what did they leave him with at the end of the road? And he's just going up and down all over the place, not made to feel like he's tired of anything. And he's probably one of the most qualified people on the ground. Sutton would have put out an alert, I'm pretty sure. He just wanted the information. He wanted to do the job, his job. I'm a tool. Like, look at this guy. He's like, I'm a tool. Use me. It's what I'm here for. Lots of people in agreement about that he's a good guy. I really feel bad for this cop. I do too, but that's not what comes through. That's not what comes through. He's talking about other members. He's talking about other members. He wants a good police force with good people on it, with good leadership, with information sharing, no funny games, no bullshit, secret ops and stuff. Just tell us. Sutton should be hired for the MCC. What is the MCC? God. What did he say? Pretty much what I expected. What is he saying there? I don't know. Honest cop. He'll disappear. I hope not. I really hope not. Yeah, I mean, why? It's always been a thought in my head. They didn't want certain people down there. I'm sure I've echoed that in videos before. What's with certain people? He's an outsider. He's not one of the cliques. Siloed. This is a very important thing within the RCMP. Yes, and that's true. I know that from an ex-member. He's not in the clique. You go against the wave, you make waves, you're going to have problems. I think I've read something one of them sent me one day, and it was pretty eye opening. Pretty eye opening. Uh, well, it's not just staring, like just getting sent all over the place. Even then, he's still like, okay, you know what? We'll just keep going. He's right there at the end, too. He's right there at the end. Uh, if you go to his GPS, it's just back and forth, back and forth. Okay, we'll go up here, we'll go up there. I don't know where I'm going. No mention of, yeah, it's very screwy. But that's why I think it's very much worth looking into. Look where he is. When? Thank you very much to Julie for doing this. I'm 28. I mean, he's right there. He's up there like those Elmsdale photos that I showed 20, what was that, fall 2020? Which Cert didn't want to touch. Magically delicious video. Mm. Uh, didn't know about Lisa Banfield. Claims to have been. Claims to have been. But again, he's not. He wouldn't say, for sure because he's not an investigator. But he may be saying something there too. Hard to follow with Seamus cutting in and out. Oh, is my stuff having problems? Technically. No, I don't get that they're trying to throw Sutton under the bus. I don't get that at all. I just get that he said his piece and he worked an extra year and because he knew he couldn't leave one guy alone. So he's like, I'll do this. Jeff Walls be another interesting person to talk to. He worked. Well, they did throw him. Yeah, I mean, you put these guys in high risk. Anybody who's out of the silo, they don't know anything. How many people is that? I would say a lot. A lot. So they're just running around doing who knows what because they don't even know. Yes, they did. Well, there's a lot of good stuff in it. I'm not going to touch on that stuff today. Seems legit. Oh, he's totally legit, man. What do you think he is, fake? Seems legit. Have they put things back up? I think I saw that isn't there a different edition now of the 911 phone calls? Anyway, question. He drove out. Okay, there's lots of good stuff in here. I just don't want to get into other things quite at this point in time. I just wanted to leave it with. So okay, thanks very much for everybody for joining. I appreciate it. You know, hopefully Robert will have a chance to hear the rest of it, and then it won't maybe be as confusing. Are the dogs trooper? These are, yes, absolutely. True partner. Yeah. But then he has to walk away from that too. Those dogs are the ones who protect them, the only person they can count on. I don't know. As it's been described to me, it's kind of like, honestly, an appendage to these guys to train them and go through it all. It's just a lot. So it's way more than just a friend or somebody who's there to protect you or whatever. It's big. Blue coats. Yes, the cherry picking. But again, I'm going to get into some of that. Lots of cherry picking going on. Jeff Wells. Yes, it's Jeff Wells. This is with the guy that I think he came down from New Brunswick, or I'm not sure. I don't quote me on that. No problem, Kelly. That's what I'm here. Just we're all here doing the same stuff. What do you make of page 19, bottom paragraph, page 19 of his statement? Let me see. And I'm just somebody who's reading it. The only person who will know this stuff is him, which is why you ask him. To me, you talk to the very source, because that always makes sense. But the media is like, oh yeah, don't worry, we'll talk to somebody who's got hearsay. That's pretty great. Last paragraph. You mean this one? About searching for the carbine? Is that what you're referring to? Not sure. Page 19. No worries, man. No worries. I get it. They're gonna pick scapegoats. It's part of it. It's like that thing I read you the other day. They're always going to have somebody take a fall, but looks like he's willing to go out on a limb. Story time. What in the hell, man? I don't tell stories. I try and tell the truth. I'm just teasing you, Linda. Yeah, brown hair, hat. Okay. Lots of cars up there. Anyways, that's the last video, and I do have lots more to add on that. But again, I do want to stress that correction. I do want to stress that correction. Though the video is what is necessitated through this whole thing. Doesn't matter that you show fucking stills. Like, who does that? Who does that? Here, look at some stills. You know, it's crappy pictures. Where was that? Yeah. Just so I'm very, I try and be as transparent as possible. And apologize when I make errors. Even here, but it's definitely worth a read. So here we do have the picture of the entrance, picture of a still from a video, which of course you can just get. But this is what I was saying. Oh, where is this in their MCC presentation? Where is this? But it was in the report, but it's still, reading the report, funnily enough, just raised even, and I had read a bunch of other things, but I hadn't got to this part yet. It doesn't bring any. The yellow arrows show something. Yay. So it does kind of give you, I guess, a time frame. But why is it that he doesn't have time to be doing fire pits and all this other bullshit? That's a bunch of baloney. All right. Oh, do we have a third member shot? I'm not going to touch any of that today. There are some things I want to talk about to do with some other things. So thank you very much for joining me for, as Linda says, story time. I'm just teasing. And God bless you all. God bless the 23. We'll keep pressing for truth, and we'll celebrate heroes like Mr. Sutton. And again, if I've gotten something wrong, Mr. Sutton, you have my sincerest apologies. I'm just trying to repeat your own words, but possibly my intonation on words was not quite correct. God bless you all. God bless the 23.